is iRacing.
And so the second third of the season will bring itself to a close here around Phillip Island, a track which is known for being one of the high-speed thrill rides that Australia has to offer. Here in Cowes in Victoria, this is where you are going to need to be the bravest possible in a Lotus 49, knowing that you've only got your left foot to save you as you look to try and hit the brakes. Welcome to coverage here on the Global Sim Racing channel of your Grand Prix Legends series. My name's Jake Sperry. Alongside with me for today's action is Howie Burrows with Christian Deploy in the director's chair. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to a circuit that is more known for its motorcycle racing than it is for what it does on four wheels. This is a truly wonderful battleground and bastion of racing action, and you can find out just why with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Phillip Island. As the name implies, this track is located on a splotch of land off the south coast of Australia near Melbourne. While there's been plenty of racing here for close to a century, the track's current incarnation has only been around since the late 80s. And this version is a doozy. With only 12 turns spread across the roughly 4.5 kilometers, it's a decently fast circuit. But what really makes this place stand apart is the incredible variety in those few corners. From negative to positive camber, early apexes, late apexes, blind crest, hairpins, sweepers, if you name it, it's probably got it. On top of that, the front stretch tends to offer up a slipstream with its incredible length, but it then forces the drivers into a game of chicken by chucking them into the frightening Ewan. Corners like Lukey Heights stretches a car's grip to the limit and then shocks you with a sudden downhill braking into MG. Retaining something of an old school twist, unlike most modern courses, Phillip Island has earthen embankments running along many parts of the track. While it's meant to keep the cars safely retained within the circuit's confines, anyone unfortunate enough to manage to jump them will be faced with a ton of damage for their troubles. A variety of types of racing take place at the track, including motorcycles, lower-level open-wheelers, and touring cars. Possibly the most well-known among those is the Australian Supercars Championship. With the Aussie reputation of having dangerous, difficult, and challenging circuits, Phillip Island certainly holds up to the standard. The beautiful views of the beach and
a circuit that doesn't have much in terms of a dedicated slow hairpin. Turn 4 is the closest to it, and turn 10 through MG Corner. But this is a place where every corner challenges, and you're looking at keeping the average speeds up. So you look around today, Howie, draft dependency is the key.
Indeed, an absolute cult classic of Australia. Phillip Island I'm very used to in cars that have a bit of downforce and a bit of grip. Well, welcome to the opposite world where you're going to have to try and hold on through the first sweepers like 1 and 3 into the hard downhill tight braking into 4 and 10. I don't know how they're going to make it through, but these drivers know these cars inside and out, so if anyone can slow it in time, it's this field.
They certainly can. Keep an eye out then at Casey Stone corner into Jack Miller's corner, turns 3 and 4. Maybe a chance to come back at Siberia at 6 and then over the top of Lukey Heights at 9 into 10. The big key will be turn 1 into Doohan Corner and then turn 2 the Southern Loop. So that will be what the 12 turns of racing action will have for them on a circuit that opened in 1928. So a very long time ago in the context of it, almost 100 years old as a racetrack, and that is what we love to see. But let's talk where we are in the championship as we head ourselves into today's racing here at this wonderful Phillip Island track. and it has been the gold standard up on top. Aldrius Valenterius, 38 to the good on Togo Hesada, and Nicola Cocchi in third place. Jason Clapper has found himself into fourth ahead of John Olsen and Kevin Verbruggen, with Mick Claridge seventh, Henry Morse in eighth. He's tied on points with Laust Olsen, and then Kurt Clapper, who rounds out the top 10 of your F1 standings. F2, though, Howie, still very much up for grabs as it currently stands, but it's looking more and more like a runaway.
Sabine Becker has the 50-point advantage and is looking like a good runaway, but behind it it's indeed pretty tight. Mats Linden only 5 points back from the P2, and Andreas Bruno and Jace Carpentier aren't out of that at all. This could be a good runaway for Becker if we have another good race or two in the season, but behind, there's battles all the way to the end.
Certainly there with David Andres Tavar and Don Peake split by just 1 point. Keep an eye out on that as they get themselves set. But if you are looking around as well and saying, what's the nations doing to get up to the very top level? Well, it is Japan who have the control right now over the United Kingdom, a 31-point margin there. The United States find themselves in third. The Ukraine are in fourth position. Now, weirdly enough, seeding away from the United Kingdom is England in fifth position. So Mick Claridge there, representing England, is doing a good job, as Italy are just a point back of that. Then it's Spain and the wonderful meme team of Sao Tome and Principe in eighth position. They are tied for that eighth with the Germans, and then the Danes, Denmark, they're in 10th on 114 points back off of Japan as it goes. But let's talk about what racing will look like today, how they will battle, and how much they will have to, Howie.
On the track, as ever, some of the rules are as classic as we know. In round 8 at 12 of open setups, you can use your own or one from the community who are great at sharing. No fast repair available to you. 23 laps around here with a drive-through at 17 and a DQ at 25. You've got plenty of laps to get around this place and plenty of chances to make your battles happen. It's a bit of a sprint, but it's by no means a super fast one to the end.
No, but you can see right on the coast here as they get themselves set. This is one of the most coastal circuits that you will find in the world of motorsport. And surprisingly, a tame day wind-wise out there here today. Just the 6 kilometers an hour of what are overcast conditions. That wind's coming in from the south and up the circuit. So it will be effectively a coastal breeze that will be creating a headwind in towards the opening corners here today. Sebastian Tixier currently in control with his first lap of qualifying. Togo Hesada a little bit down the order here in 8th place. He's going to need a big second lap because he's down 0.8 of a second, so 1/10 per position will look like is what he needs. Now heading in through the final corner out there on circuit. This is turn number 12 to end the lap outright, and that charge over towards the line. The small dip down. Nicola Cocchi goes quickest for the moment. A 29.849 for Hesada, only good enough for front row at best.
And a lot more drivers behind are likely going to come through and try challenging that right towards the very end. Here's Seb Tixier on board with the VR and the motion rig. We don't even get to see the monitor as he runs around. You can see the way that seat moves under the elevation of the track. It looks like a fast exit out of that last turn. The last lap wasn't legal on the board. Seb Tixier gets it up to pole. Last one was legal as well. My timing was incorrect, but that is a pole lap by a lot. 3 attempts in it.
That is a huge statement. Tim Chevalier is up there looking to try and get a time. And then Aldrius Valenterius' first lap is good enough to be 1/10 of a second back of Seb Tixier. So big stuff then to try and make this happen. And Aldrius, a driver who's got more than a decade's experience in sim racing, has fought the likes of Alexia Loma in the early goings of iRacing's history. So very much a driver who had a lot of confidence and pace to work with, really fighting for an angle here in towards turn 4 at Jungle Jack Miller's corner, looking to just get as close to the white line as possible without starting to raise on the curb, and then takes all the curb through 5 and into Siberia at 6, because you're out in the wilds through that section.
You could see the car just dancing on the edge of grip as we head through some uphill S's, still just having to slide that rear and get as much as you can out. Lots of elevation change all over this track, including up this hill and then right down it into a hairpin that comes again straight away. That one catches me by surprise every time I run the track. Valentea's already second fastest lap on the first go around. If this one has any pace to it at all with the heated up tyres, this could easily be pole.
Yeah, Jack David Spickett up to 6th position then on a 30.1, and it's very busy on those 30.1s. Here comes Valenteas though, needing a 10th of a second to jump, and he finds a couple hundredths only. So Seb Tixier has out-dueled Aldrius Valenteas out there. Gerard Borrell currently out on track as well, hoping to try and get his second lap into play. Someone who's known for driving in the iRacing Grand Prix World Tour out there, and so you're looking around and thinking who can manage that. But with 30 seconds to go here, Howie, I'm not sure he's going to make it from there. He's only just now coming through the hay shed.
You are right on that timing. I think it's some of the slow speed corners up on the way, including one more tight, tough hairpin. It will be to the line, only 15 to go, so he might have to just find a way to cut his way across that whole corner to make it to the line in time. Won't quite get a read on how fast this one is. This one will be P19 on the starting grid for the race.
32 drivers here today, and the field is then set. So let's take a look at where everyone will be lining up for this. Sebastian Tixier in control, and in control by just a couple hundredths of a second, 6 of them to be precise, over the gold standard. Aldrius Valenteas is then Nicola Cocchi and Togo Hisada, who are direct rivals to Aldrius, 3rd and 4th, as Mick Claridge knackered his second lap. He'll go from 5th, with Jack David Spickett in 6th. Arturus Kundelis and Laust Olsen will be 7th and 8th, with Kevin Verbruggen in 9th, and Alan Graham, the Aussie, rounding out your top 10.
32 cars hit the grid. David Rossi and Paul Roches Gardia make up row 6. But behind them, John Olsen, Gary Ho, Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, Perez, Tembadi. I always have to apologise to someone on these races. Robert Plumley's in 17th, next to Ray Oliver, with Gerard Borrell in 19th, and Kurt Clapper in 20th.
Making 21st is Yannis Carpentier, the Belgian, with Tobias Hernvey in 22nd. It's then Michael Grissinger and Roberto Pangrazzi in 24th. Andres Bruno, Thomas Tuba, and Evaldas Balsis make up the 27 sets of time. Jason Clapper, who's 4th in the championship, loves going from the back of the field, with Glenn Irwin and Troy Mortensen not setting times, and neither did the 30 or the 31 of Tim Chevalier and Colin Bennett, who will now have to make work in this race. It is a fast run towards turn 1. The first braking zone will actually be turn 2, and it will favour drivers who are a little bit further back on the grid because it's an uphill start for those in the front 3 rows. So this will be about making sure you've got a grid stall that can make the charge happen, and they don't really have that many markings out there because of all the motorcycle markings that are there and set for these drivers here. 23 laps worth of racing action are looking like they are about ready to get themselves started. One car in the pit lane and a jump start, then off at the go, and that is going to be a huge one for Mick Claridge to get wrong. He'll have to dive down into the pits. He should have just gone as they go through 3 wide almost into turn 1 to start this one. Valenteas has to get out of it. Tixier's gone a little bit deep in through the corner, and look at Valenteas cut his way to the outside of the southern loop. Togo Hisada diving down the inside, looking to steal 3rd away from Nicola Cocchi, and will do. Tixier though with the lead.
So much of this first lap's going to be about momentum. So much of this track is going to be about momentum, as so many high-speed corners. You've got to carry as much speed as you can through. Let's see if we can pack 32 cars into this tough hairpin. Everybody has it slowed down in time, but we can get it 2 and maybe even 3 wide further back in the rows. Mick Claridge, after the jump start, he is running at P7 right now, and in fact that is Laust Olsen spinning off his rear, but that race is about to go from bad to worse. It has become a bit of a wrecking field in the back.
Oh, and Laust Olsen knew he needed a good start to this one, and he just overdrove it in, and then there was more incidents around, and it looked to me like Ray Oliver was caught up in it, maybe Yannis Carpentier as well, over Lukey Height into MG. Tim Chevalier's also got a jump start, so he'll have to come down into the pits, but it's Tixier, Valenterius, then Togo Hesada, Koki and Spickett make your top five as in comes Claridge to serve his drive-through penalty.
Not the only driver with a black flag on the road. Tim Chevalier in 27th also has a penalty to serve. Running down into the first turn, Tixier holds off Valenterius on the inside, but that holding off allowed Valenterius to cut out to the out. Thought he'd have momentum, but sort of peters out just a bit heading into that next turn, and now it's a long wide sweeper. I think Valenterius is faster throughout some portions of this lap. It's just about getting the pass done in time.
It's grit, and it's all about mechanical grip. There's no aerodynamics to help you in this car. It is speed and lightness, as Colin Chapman once said. That's too deep, though, from one Mr. Seb Tixier. So Valenterius can go to the outside of Siberia here on lap 2. And look then with Seb Tixier, and he is really having to tense the muscles. And Togo Hesada was having a little nibble through. Look at them. They're jumping all over each other as we take a look at that Ford DFV Cosworth engine. They are literally on each other right now like a pack of rats, trying to make sure that they can jump through and get that little bit of cheese.
If you want to count on anyone at all to take advantage of a battle up ahead, it will be Togo Hesada. So you've got to watch your rear mirrors as well as the front. A bad exit from Valenterius on the turn almost gets Hesada alongside, and he's fast on exit, but then these cars are quite sluggish moving left and right, and so you can't really dive out of the way of someone you have a run on. You have to back off, wait for your chance, get in again. We'll see how big the slipstream is down the start-finish straight here, because this is the longest on the track. Valenterius ducks to the left. Hesada's got momentum though on that inside, backs out for turn 1.
Not much he can do. He'll try and carry the momentum through the middle of the corner. He doesn't quite manage it there in comparison to Valenterius, who has him covered and scouted, and they can't afford to battle too much or Tixier will run away. We had a little look back there at John Olsen and Raul Rosses in a scrap. Gary Ho trying to get by David Rossi for position, but 6 clear. The fastest lap now in the back pocket of Nicola Koki as they work out of Stoner into turn 4. Defensive line taken by Valenterius, and that is a mark of a driver who knows he's got to do what he can to hold the championship in his back pocket. He'll know that Togo Hesada will want through, and every single round now, it's a question of, can I finish ahead of the rivals I need to?
Of course, you're first half of your season's about just trying to get all the early points you can. Second half's about all the tension. Here's Ray Oliver. I wonder what quite happens here, but I could make a reasonable guess. This may have been a big part of some of the wrecking on the first lap. Had to spin due to losing grip, and everybody else in the way. That's just bad luck to be on the outside of a car that does that. It's even a little bit more off in the gravel in the distance. And then how quite do you rejoin when you're across the track like that? Just sort of wait as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, so Yannis Carpentier was the one who ended up on the wrong side of Ray Oliver there, and you are waiting for the whole traffic to go through before you can safely rejoin up onto racing speeds. Nicola Koki is bringing himself closer to Togo Hesada, and then you've got Spickett and Kundelis in 5th and 6th working, and it's a bit wide there by JDS. Jack David Spickett has to cover back to the inside, and that doesn't quite manage for Kundelis, who's running, believe it or not, the national colours, because that's what all the manufacturers used to do in the years. It's why British Racing Green is a thing out there. Egyptian colour, by the way, is bright pink, and Lithuanian is that lime green colour.
Sometimes you see some drivers bring in sponsors that couldn't possibly exist, and I find those actually quite charming on these cars a little bit, but a lot of drivers also just bring out the national cars as ever. So this battle in the top 2 has spread away. Togo Hesada failing now to really catch, within range to make something happen later. Koki's just behind in 4/10, although safer than, say, Tixier's position right now. I thought that was going to compress that lead pack, and instead it is sort of spread out as around the outside Valenterius thinks he can make the pass, but there is no momentum there.
No, couldn't quite find it, didn't quite manage it. We do have another retirement in this one. It's Evaldas Balshis who is out of the race then, and not much can be done. Togo Hisada sitting back and saying, right, if you two continue to scrap, I'll stay with this group and I'll have my chance to get the pickings from when you two decide to start really going for it side by side. But these are the finding out processes of a 29.8 from Hisada sets fastest lap. They're looking to try and see, okay, where are you good? What corners are your best? What corners are your worst? And when they find what's a bad corner out there, they will look to try and exploit it. Huge wiggle off the exit of the southern loop there for Tixier. This is what Valenteus was waiting for. Through Casey Stoner, over towards Jack Miller. Hisada waits on the outside, but the inside is covered off online. But look at that, it's too deep. Togo's going to get one. Togo is going to get him. But what a pass!
A contact just behind
Tixier.
Tixier slides out on the corner exit, and Valenteus gets tagged on the end of that slide. And from third all the way to the back, Nicola Cocchi's now going to be our P3 driver, being chased down by Kundelis. And that is a dramatic swing in the racing championship, as Valenteus is not happy on the chat, let me tell you that.
Well, Seb Tixier has been very loose with his setup, and this is the reason why. He's fighting for grip. Look, he's full slide off the exit, still trying to catch, can't catch it, bang. There's the contact. Valenteus just got his nose poked in the wrong position at the wrong time, and maybe should have exercised some caution, knowing how much Seb Tixier was sliding about like that, trying to catch it.
Wrong time, wrong place. I mean, I thought it was wheel-to-wheel contact, and it's actually against the tub of the car, so you almost think you have clearance up front, and it's just horribly unfortunate to get wiped right out of there. But that's a race that is well and truly done and off the books for you. Now, Togo Hisada, that was an incredible move up the inside to take that lead from 2. Now wants to get away as far as possible. Half a second, looking quite good, but not really running away too much further. And I think this pack of 2 might make this another 3-car chase.
Yep, so Nicola Cocchi happily sits then on this group. The gold standard doesn't look quite so sparkling anymore out of this race. Candelis up to 4th, Jack David Spickett 5th, and Raul Rosas Guardia then in 6th. So this is what happened for Arturas Candelis. That's a big slide coming out there of turn 11, and that opened up the door for Candelis to jump through, and it is as simple as that. You're trying to stamp on the power early on these long parabolic style corners, Howie, but the issue you're running into is these drivers need grip, and those rear tyres aren't really gripping here today, and I think it might have something to do with the track temperature. It doesn't though. It's 36 degrees. It's actually quite warm for them today.
Of course, they've got to be very, very heat sensitive, these tyres, barely being tuned for racing as is. So you have one slide and you're compromised for quite a while as you try and make it back up. Jack David Spickett is in the chase here for P4, trying to get that position back. He does seem quite fast down the straight, but we're not seeing the passes come very easily or conventionally around here. You're really having to wait for mistakes and opportunities to strike. There's really no zones just given to you for free.
No, it's very tough out there, and someone who's been making great progress, no surprises, Jason Clapper from 28th all the way up to 12th as Candelis has a little bit of a defensive line then going into the corner. He overshoots the corner and he'll lose one place. He might lose a second here, he will. So through will go Raul Rosas Guardia to go and jump up. So John Olsen now will have his eyes set, and Candelis overcooking it on the brakes. And we talk about these brakes, and they do fade as the race goes on.
And they barely work as they do, as is, I like to say. I mean, that's a spin from
going around and having a little bit of a tap there, not what he wanted to do. And so that will give a lot of issues there for Michael Grissinger, who was there in 22nd. And Laus was way too far over the inside curve there, Howie. And that is what initiated that contact. Mick Claridge now finding cars again here in 24th.
trying to make up every place he possibly can from the drive-through. It's good to at least stay on that lead lap with only 22 seconds in the pits, but he's taken quite a bit of time to try and catch people, even with pace, and then the chances are being given to you quite luckily. So this has become a three-car chase up at the front. All three about as close to each other, to the 10 and the 3. Togo Hisada got that lead excellently, and I think he could hold the rest off for quite some time now. Try and let Tixier and Koki battle each other, but I'll say Tixier's already had that one contact. I wonder if that's going to sit on his conscience for the rest of the race.
Howie, the way that Seb Tixier is having to drive his Lotus 49 right now, you get those owners whose dogs walk them rather than them walking the dog. It looks like the car is driving Seb Tixier.
I mean, they say loose is fast, but how loose is how fast until suddenly the thing is just sideways half the time. Who knew iRacing had drift modes built into it? Well, he's keeping a hand of it now, and it's gotten him good pace, but it's going to take one more little slip up, and it all goes horribly, horribly wrong. And he's not even halfway through this race, so if you're scared now, wait until the brakes and tyres start falling off.
Well, the question will be, can you find those opportunities to jump up, to gain that place here, as we're already a third of the way through this race. Lap 8 here of 23. Your top 3 as they stand at the moment. There's a good scrap going on as well now for what is going to be 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th on circuit 2 between Ho, Rossi, Lopez and Robert Plumley. The world of Kinducci on the back. A change then as Arturas Candelas goes through on Raul Rosses for pass, and not much clearance at all, needing to make that one stick.
Just what that was a case of the slipstream run actually working to his advantage. But if you get the big run down the start-finish straight, you have to be brave to commit to it in that first turn, because they're going to be carrying over speed, you're going to wash wide, and you better hope there's not a car there that you're going to run into along the way. That turn 1-2 complex is a very, very unusual one around here, because you both carry speed and have to slow the car at the same time.
Is very difficult. It's known as the trail brake, which is the toughest skill for any driver to try and learn, especially in machinery like this with old school brakes, old school acceleration, old school clutch. So you're really out there trying to heel and toe the car into some of these corners and do anything you can to keep yourself steady. Raul here hasn't really held off then in terms of where he goes. Down the hill, you have to be absolutely square on your braking into here, and it's so easy just to overcook, extend the braking zone and see the back step out as you start turning and braking.
Especially that braking zone, it always comes up to me by surprise, because you come just out of an uphill turn, and if you don't know it's there intuitively, suddenly you're braking downhill at full speed and you're going to hope you get the car slowed down. I find it one of those deceptive spots on the whole track. Plenty of battling happening across it. Here's Andres Bruno for 21st. There's a big 5-car train here, led by Kurt Clapper and Tobias Hanvi. And then all the way back to Thomas Tubit in 24th, I consider the last car that's a part of this. They're all looking for their chances, but it has just been a race of getting those chances more than going side by side for a lap.
Yeah, Mick Claridge is in the middle of this one. He's 5th in line, trying to eye up Yannis Carpentier there for position. 7 versus 21. He's looking to hope that he's got 3 times the pace out there, as his number is 3 times smaller than Yannis's out there at this moment. Yannis takes the middle of the road, and this is what we call diamonding the apex. If you can get yourself in through, Andres Bruno runs a bit wide. He gets a run on Carpentier. He might get both of them here as he runs to turn 3. Carpentier lifts out, knows Mick's quicker, and Andres Bruno, who's there on the inside, covers it off. But look how extended that braking zone is. My goodness, that came back from a mile away. You need the Hubble telescope to scope that one out.
That is the difference between someone that may have known this track off the back of their hands and someone that has hit up the SOF. I'm making assumptions, of course. I'm making assumptions with Mick Claridge is one of the most experienced drivers and has been doing the fighting from the back. So you'd expect if anyone to know bravery on the brakes, it would be Mick, but he is still being chased down plenty well. Here's Tixier for P1. He's going to go for it.
down the inside, looking for this run here on lap 11. He's been tired of waiting. Hizada will hold the inside, but that very loose setup is too loose. Tixier now goes skittering off into the gravel, and he will leave the lead battle overall. Jack David Spickett jumps up onto the podium, and that's what he's threatened not once but twice in this race.
That's the risk you were worrying about, that loose setup finally overdoing it. This time no other victims other than himself, and he's quite some distance off the pack. He'll be able to chase down Jack David Spickett for P3. That makes it a two-car battle up at the front, but you were very, very scared of that. He was running offline on the exit of that turn. That was only going to lead to a disaster eventually.
Kevin Verbruggen looking to try and get the run, but it's too deep through the corner from Gerard Borel, who now needs a drive off of the exit here through Siberia. Pedro Temaladri and Alan Graham are watching this, and Alan Graham with the 26 on his car will be looking at F2 honours here today, looking to try and get what he can. He's 9 seconds clear of Roberto Pangrazzi last time over the line, so here comes the chances then for both of them through the hayshed, up over the top of Lukey Heights, and for Temaladri, he's holding himself steady. Alan Graham, not much he can do against the Argentine.
Just running in line, running in your duels, and a lot of this is now drivers settling into their laps. We approach the halfway mark, and the faster are boiling up to the top, but they're having to earn it quite slowly over time. Verbruggen in that 4 car would be hoping for better than where he started this race, and would be hoping for better than where he is right now. I don't think the run is down this straight to really convert it, but these are two strong drivers that are dueling each other in a place that you might consider out of position for them on the track. Verbruggen's going to need to wait for that bold chance. It could be into the hairpin or up in the inside, but that's been held off well by Gerard.
It has been held off well, and so Kevin Verbruggen's been trying, and oh, Jack, Jungle Jack at Jack Spickett's moment now is going to go away at Jack Miller corner. Tixier was diving down the inside, and ultimately Jack's just lost it, overcooking it on the brakes. Look at this, Tixier gets to the rear tyre, and Jack just loses out trying to win the battle of the brakes.
Delicate, precious brakes, and you've mentioned that they do fall off over the race. We're hitting that halfway mark now. It's more and more likely that drivers might expect a bit more from them than they really have to give. And they're being really tested with all the trail braking around this track, so you send it into a hard hairpin, you've got to hope you have your stuff together.
You really do, and so with that, it's tough, and so we are seeing that many drivers are making many mistakes. Spickett back to 7th now. Tixier regains the spot on the podium. Colin Bennett then on virtual home soil, looking to try and find a way through on Pangrazzi. He's got Kurt Clapper there, and then Tobias Hernvey, then Andres Bruno. Door is left wide open. Kurt Clapper comfortably makes his way through.
You've got to look for every gap that exists, and that was one given away very much for free. Verbruggen got the run on Gerard Borel down that main straight this time. It's not about the slipstream you get, it's more about the exit you get out of that last turn and how much speed you're able to carry out of it that determines if you're going to get that easy overtake opportunity. Verbruggen going to want to hold that place for as long as he possibly can, but we got some big hairpins up on the way, and this has been where the brave drivers have been really marking their stamp. Not this time. He holds off that inside well.
This is a liquor stamp and send it corner, and we've seen it time and again. Verbruggen happy. Top 2 working hard now with 11 laps to go in this race. Togo Hizada, the emperor of the Lotus, some would say. And then Nicola Cocchi then in 2nd position, trying to work away to make sure that these two can have a big scrap. And you would argue with the mistake of Aldris Valenterius going to the drop round with that one, this is a chance for them to score some big points towards the championship 1 and 2. Raul Rosses then eyeing up Arturas Candelis for that 4th.
I mean, you could say there's a bit of luck and fate in how Nicola Cocchi got to this point, but now, once you hold off the battle with Togo Hizada and you stay close the whole time, you earn your place more and more every lap. Raul says he's been sort of eyeing up the inside of a bit of overspeed for a couple laps now on some key corners, but has just not actually made the final send every time. I think you need more than just a bit of speed to get a pass here. You need a lot of speed to know you're clear. Big run going into the hairpin on the way. Gonna make a dive to the inside, and they are gonna wheel bang alongside. This could be good, but a slide on exit, that's gonna stop that position from being given up.
I thought with the way that he pivoted there through Casey Stoner that he wasn't going to line it up at Jack Miller, because he was keeping that one pinned the same way that Arturus was, and I think he outbroke himself into a move rather than look to naturally go and make that pass. So for Raul there, he had to do everything possible to make sure he had enough room to the inside. Great heads-up driving from Kundelis to leave just enough space. They stay together. Gary Ho now losing a little bit of time. He's now back in 10th. Trying to work for 11th, and then Jason Clapper is there, another driver using motion rig simulation and VR to go and try and make these corners. And every time I see a driver in VR with a manual stick shift out there in the car, I just think to myself, how on earth do they hit the gear stick every time to make that change? You need a lot of confidence to make that happen.
I think it's scarier in VR because you can't even really see where the gear stick is or see its current position. Your memory and intuition is helping you. I mean, you could tell I don't drive manual cars in real life when I say you need to see the gear stick, but it's certainly, that's got to be a scary place to be on a car with this much suspension travel as well. This thing bounces on the right sort of track.
It does, and so you look at it, it's a car that has a lot of travel to it, and you've got to be very switched on for it. Cocky close again then over at turn 4. Jack Miller now heading over to Siberia at turn number 6, trying to work through, but I think that car is a little bit more pinned from Togo Hisada. He's another driver who likes the car to feel very loose, and the way that he's got it really understanding. Nicola Cocky has naturally more understeer in his setup, and so he has to fight through the corners a little bit more. Togo Hisada is very much been point and click with the way that he's been going about it over the last few laps.
Well, we've seen the risks of tuning it too on the loose side. Obviously, understeer's not the way you want to go on a track like this. Got to find that perfect Goldilocks zone in the middle on your setup, and Togo's a driver that knows how to manage. Exit of this turn sets up everything for the straight. Both look kind of even for now. We'll see how much of a run Nicola Cocky gets. It's not significant, but it could get him alongside in a couple turns down. He's going to back out of it.
Yeah, so this isn't a case here, I would say, Howie, of if you can make the move. I know that Nicola Cocky's got enough to go and make the move. I reckon this is a case of when you make that move.
And you do want to get it in the last few laps if you can, but it's not a track that donates you opportunities. It's not a track that gives you chances, and if you force it really badly, then really bad things will happen to you and others around here. So you just need to see every lap as a possible chance, because you might not get another around here, I think.
No, so that's what you're sort of balancing up. Will you have more than one chance to go and get this pass done if it doesn't work the way that you need to? Late apex there from Arturus Kundelis. That will prioritise the exit and the drive compared to Raul Rosses. And we talk about it a lot here, Howie. Those who decide to go and get early into the corner or early out of the corner, mainly you will see drivers in front get early out of the corner so they're not going to be attacked into the next one.
It really does seem like exits are deciding everything about how much speed you can carry on this track. Sun looks like it's come out just a little bit on the track from our view. So, here's Raul Rosses. Where did the P come from? I have no clue. He has been fast. He has been trying. He has just not found the chance, say, on the exit at that final turn, because now the run is slight, but it's not been good enough to fully clear it. He'll try it this time. Again, backs out on the inside.
He's trying everything he can. There's not much really that he can do. He did a 29.9 on that last lap. There was only 2/10 slower than the fastest laps of the race, which Nicola Cocky and Seb Tixier subsequently both had, and he gets a bucket of oversteer on the exit, trying to put that right foot down to the floor, and because there isn't much to pin the car down, you've basically got a car that just wants to really fight you every stage of the way. And again, big long braking zone as they go through. This is a car that can hit 280 to 300 kilometers an hour. It just needs about 300 kilometers to stop it.
And that reliance on mechanical grip, it's even worse on a track with heavy elevation change all over, because when you're actually weightless at the top of hills, you are weightless. Nothing's pulling you down in any way, and you basically have to lift all the way out and hope that the thing sticks enough and doesn't just go leaping off the ground. Roll says into the next hairpin. The defense from Candelas ahead is very, very good. He knows that the inside on that hairpin is one of the only places that people are really getting you. A bit of a hop on the curb there from Roll says. That's a big slide, and that's going to cost him time.
Yeah, that's at least 2.5 car lengths that fall away for Raul Rosses, and knows now that this is going to be a tough old scrap towards the end. You need a couple laps to get yourself back steady. They've still got the pressure of John Olsen and Jack David Spickett behind, so they can't lift off on this one. They can't just sit up and say, okay, I've got time. You don't. You've got natural pressure that's there. Marco Antonio Lopez now sits in the number 15 car right now with David Rossi out there, and you'll find this with the Iberians out there and the Spaniards, that as they go through, and we watch behind Robert Plumley still fending off Jason Clapper, that the naming conventions of Spanish drivers are first names that you've got, then your father's name and your mother's name. So they prefer sometimes to only go by the 3 name rather than the 4 name here. So Marco Antonio Lopez open up the steering, big lockup. Gary Ho almost had a massive T-bone accident.
That was a brave send up the inside by Gary Ho. His problem is he was going to be able to go side by side, but there was David Rossi up the road that was just going to be the brick wall in the way, and too brave on those brakes, and those things lock up, and you are almost on a one-trip journey all the way to Paynetown. He does actually pick it up back in time so that he keeps his position, but he's going to lose time, and possibly over the next lap not be able to handle that car properly. Jason Clapper, one of the largest climbers of the race, started right near the back about qualifying, now up to P12. Good racer as ever out here on the track, and looking for an opportunity on Robert Plumley. If he can open it up in a lap or two, as the fastest lap of the race is set by our P2 driver. Seb Tixier is going to take that away as well.
Yeah, and it's just the fine margins here as he tries to work Jack David Spickett now with the fastest lap of the race, as he has caught the rear of John Olsen, repping that Sao Tome and Principe nation at the moment with the green, the red, and the yellow of the Sao Tome and Principe flag. But Jack David Spickett's not going to sit by idly. He's been desperate to jump up, to gain pace, to say, I can gain these places. He still sees fourth as an opportunity. Big slide through the corner. John with a huge defence then. Over then at turn 4, Jack Miller not going to work then, so Jack David Spickett is going to have to work again to find a way through, and we're seeing this. Drivers struggling to find passes out there. Jason Clapper is one of them, for example. He gained those 16 places in the first 5 laps, and he hasn't had another place gained since then.
That inside defense on the 2 hairpins continues to work its magic. I think it's easily the best place to be. David Spickett there, quite fast on the inside, but covered off one more time, and this time that outside line is being taken. The inside was exposed. He's alongside and not quite completely clear because the track falls away from you as you turn to the left on exit.
Yeah, that's what we call being off camber going through turn number 11. And so at turn 12, you're looking to pick up a run, but has to lift off slightly there. Does Jack David Spickett through the middle of the corner. That gives John Olsen the clearance needed to say, I've got it covered here. Going on to lap 20 with just 4 laps to go here in this race, and positions to be decided pretty much everywhere. Top 10 to be had now. Jason Clapper will have a look to the inside at turn 1 against Robert Plumley. Plumley desperately tries to hold, does the Londoner. There on the outside, it's not going to work. Thank you very much, says Jason Clapper. He now moves himself up into 11th, and he's got Gary Ho, Marco Antonio Lopez, and David Rossi to have. Huge slide by JDS as they scrap for 4th as well in front. Arturas Candelas holds that one, and so too holding that is John Olsen.
David Spickett could have had that until that slide, and another one on exit kills the battle entirely. It was side by side for way longer than you usually see on a lap around this place, but those brakes just get a little bit scary and a little bit touchy. Here's the fight for P4. This has been bubbling and evolving all race, but Candelas has just put his car in the perfect place to defend every single turn. You have the feeling that Raul Garcia is faster every time it matters, but actually getting the car around the other one, that is a struggle. I think Nicola Cocchi probably has this same battle, has been faster for a lot of these laps, but getting past is the next challenge. It's only going to be 3 more attempts.
Certainly is. Marco Antonio Lopez loses out now to Clapper, but here comes Nicola Cocchi, thinking of the inside again. He just can't carry the corner speed he needs. He'll try off the exit here. Inside's going to have to be covered then as they go into the southern loop. Now look to try and get that drive off the exit. Mid-speed was there for Nicola. Then he has to get back off of it again, slightly fighting some oversteer on the exit as Marco Antonio Lopez there in the top right of your screen remains in that 10th spot, and now is going to have to deal with Gary Ho and Robert Plumley in that one, but in towards Jack Millers once more. Big a lock up there going through of oversteer once more. Nicola is really fighting to try and get through on Togo Hesada, and Togo is starting to feel that pressure. You can see him having to extend a couple corners with mistakes.
I think impatience is going to be the name of the game for people that bubbles up now, because you've got to be frustrated running behind someone for this long, knowing you've not been able to do it, and knowing that you're running out of time. Togo Hesada's been pretty cool as ice since he got that lead. It's not really felt like it's been under threat, and you have to have a lot of patience, and you have to be very, very cool. In the side-by-side view, we have Marco Antonio Lopez and Gary Ho. Gary almost getting past for a bit, but Marco Antonio takes it back. This battling back here is the spicy kind, whereas for the lead, it's going to take a surprise to DC Togo, but surprises do happen plenty. Marco Antonio Lopez loses out on the hairpin though. Very, very bad exit. That's going to cost him 2.
He overcooked it at MG, and Robert Plumley dives through as well. So 2 for your mistake, as now it's 2 laps to go here at Phillip Island. And Nicola Cocchi realises now that he's just got to calm himself down a bit. Here comes Jason Clapper now. This the move for 8th place against David Rossi. He's on the outside looking to try and get this one done. He will now try again the long way round at turn 2. He needs drive through the middle of the corner. David holding himself steady. David holding himself with enough poise to say, I've still got it, but you're still going to fight for 4.
Still side by side, still on the edge here of what you can get away with, but that inside line is strong. A bit of a slide there from Clapper. He does manage to clear out in time, but I thought that car was going to go around under the brakes.
John Olsen, watch this. He's there, right there, hidden behind the hill. And he's had a big issue, and he's out. He is OUT and out. He's come together with Jack David Spickett, who lunged down the inside. They had a little clip of tyres, and John Olsen is out with a lap and a bit to go. There's now 1 lap left, 1 opportunity, surely now for Nicola Cocchi. We take a look at a replay quickly. So they had a little tap off the exit, and then it will be a dive going towards the inside. Jack David Spickett dives himself through. The suspension caves in for John Olsen, and not much there. Cocchi dives for the inside again. He doesn't quite get what he wants at 1, and now he's really got to open up turn 2. He doesn't move across the circuit. Togo Hesada goes very deep in, and the back really trying to kick out there of that number 2 mock-up Honda colours. Then for him, this is going to be close. Heading towards turn 4, Nicola Cocchi has been waiting all race long for this margin, the 2 needing to capitalise on. Aldris, his mistake! Nicola Cocchi throws it in. Is it a bit too deep? He's not going to get drive to the middle of the corner. Togo is going to say, I'll knit one, I'll pearl one straight back. Car off then and out of the race in front. Nicola chucks it back at Siberia and says, no, it's my place. It's my time to try and win this one right now. Togo Hesada now needs to fight straight back through the hay shed and over towards the left of Lukey Heights, up over the top of the crest. Slight drives through, and he can't get any closer than that as they now head down to MG, the last braking zone to make it happen. Togo tries to throw it in. It's just covered enough by Nicola Cocchi. He's 2 corners away, and he waited and waited and waited for the chance. Little kick of oversteer. Togo might have a chance for a drag race here towards the line. All about this final corner. All about momentum off of the exit. Nicola Cocchi will look behind. Togo's not got enough. Nicola Cocchi takes it at Phillip Island.
We talked about patience, and we also talked about being cool in first, and both of those get flipped on their head with 1 mistake in the ultimate of pressure. on the very, very, very last lap. You had to be good and consistent to stick behind for that long, and you had to have made a frustrating mistake to lose out after so much dominance this race, but it was very well earned.
And some brilliant battles heading towards the end. Mick Claridge, or what could have been day for him, 16th place only after getting a jump start penalty. He will rue that. You can see he's gone straight on, flying over the circuit here for the biggest accident he can get in his mind. So he knows how tough of a day he has had. Yannis Carpentier is not going to be able to jump through to Ray Oliver out there. Alan Graham, I think, has taken the honours then in the F2 standings with today's work, but goodness gracious me, we talk about Jules. Tobias Hernvey, that is looking second-hand.
I think everyone has had a bit of a testing day in one way or another around it. There's obviously always so much that we can't catch on a pack this big. 32 entrants, and we have our final results of how all of them lined up.
What a day at the office for Nicola Cocchi, on a day in which there was chances to start jumping up in the championship. He gets it done by a 10.5 over Togo Hisada, with Sebastian Tixier finishing off in third place, a second back at the end. If only he had a car that could hold himself together. That one mistake will cost him, and also the tag with Aldrius Valenterius. Arturas Candelis would finish fourth ahead of Raul Rosses, with Jack David Spickett finishing off in sixth, and Jason Clapper from the back of the field, 28th, will find a 7th place finish, and that justifies his place in the championship. David Rossi will finish off in 8th ahead of Gary Ho in 9th, and then it is Robert Plumley who rounds your top 10.
From 11 to 20, Kevin Verbruggen holds off Marco Antonio Lopez for 12th. Then behind we have Gerard Borrell, Pedro It's Temiladri, isn't it? Adam Graham's in 15th, next to Mick Claridge. Kurt Clapper's in 17th. Andreas Bruno's in 18th, ahead of Ray Oliver and Yannis Carpentier.
Your 21st position will be Tobias Hernvey, who would have had some very cold feet coming to the end of that one. Thomas Tuber and Troy Mortensen will be your last finishers on the leading lap. One down for Tim Chevalier, and then retirees will include the likes of John Olsen, Colin Bennett, Michael Grissinger 2 laps down along with Laust Olsen. Roberto Pangrazzi would be 4 down, and then Glenn Irwin would find an early exit. And the big shock of the day on the final page, number 1, Aldrius Valenterius, out of the race. That'll be a huge hit to his iRating and safety rating too, with Avaldas Bausis then the final driver in this field, then retiring 20 laps from home. What a day of incredible racing we have had here, Howie. And the best thing about it is that we are going to be looking at the next stage and how tough it is. We are going to get a chance to talk to some drivers. Howie Burrows has walked down the virtual paddock. He's got himself caught up with Seb Tixier.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Seb Tixier, a long day at Phillip Island where about everything happened around everybody. What was your road to your P3 like, though?
Well, I was very surprised of my pole position because this season I basically do what we call a OV, from OV triggering, which means that we just don't practice and just arrive at the race and see where it goes. And I know I'm usually fast on Phillip Island, but I was really not expecting the pole position. And I know Dries was super fast, so I was trying to defend a lot. And why I was trying to defend a lot is because during the whole race I had a packet loss warning. So basically I was thinking, maybe I'm going to be disconnected in 2 minutes, so just let's fight, go hard or go home.
We noticed an extremely loose setup on the track. It led to contact early and then another slide out of the lead halfway through that sent you back. Was that an intentional setup choice this time? Do you have any thoughts about the direction you want to go if we return here?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go back to the issue with Andreas. I watched the replay, and basically everybody was blinking on the replay. And when I saw Togo, I heard 3 wide, and I see Togo on my right. I try to accelerate as much as possible, and I slide on the right and basically just push Audius in the wall. And then I was pushing hard to try to get back the lead, and I had a good run on Togo, and I tried. I was like, I need to try to stay too wide during Lucky Height, and no, it's not Lucky Height. It's I don't remember the name, but if I manage to get too wide there, all the way to Miller corner, then maybe I could go back. But I sent it way too wide, and it brought a bit of mon loading and bit of sandboxing, and managed to get back to third. Yeah, so I'm happy with, really happy with my result. I was just expecting a top 5 like last time, so very happy with P3.
Road America, high-speed classic. Any quick thoughts on how that week's going to go?
Well, I don't want to jinx it, but I also really like Road America. It's one of on my favorite track. It's not my favorite track, just behind Imola, so I hope I will do well there too.
Well, good to catch up with you. We have spotted the faces on your car, by the way. No need to worry about that. P3 on the road. Looking forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you. Bye.
So that was Sebastian Tixier there. We get a chance to jump in with your winner, Nicola Cocchi, who's here with us. Nicola, patience looks like that prevailed, and what a final lap between you and Togo. Just talk us through that last battle that you had. It seemed like every corner was another chance to throw it back up the inside.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, it was patience because I was watching my ping, my latency, and it was all over the place. So I was very scared about the ghost contacts, because in the third day's race we had this week, I had a lot of them, and so I was very cautious to not take any risk, to not go too close to the other cars for no reason. I just thought I had one chance to do it, and so I was just keeping for the last few laps. It wasn't my plan. My plan was to actually attack a few laps before the last lap, but Togo was very fast, and it was doing almost zero mistakes, and I was very pushing hard to stay with them anyway, even with draft. Yeah, I just saw an opportunity on the last lap, and I know that there I'm very strong in the brakes, so I tried, and I even overshoot it. I would have been happier if I did something better on that occasion as well, but it was good enough. And Togo, I think he braked so late that he overheat his tires a little bit, and in the next corner he wasn't able to actually slow the car, and he was going wide, and I was in the right place. So after that, it was only just about positioning the car in order that you're not going to be overtaken.
So let's just talk about this from a championship perspective. Aldrius is out today. You pick up the big win, so it's starting to look like you can claw that gap back down in. Road America turns up on the horizon in 7 days. Is momentum swinging your way?
I don't know, man. We are talking about Audrius, which is a killer machine, and I think if he's not having this kind of issue, I think it's basically unbeatable. I'm very happy anyway about what he's doing, which is slowing himself, getting more fuel that he needs just to be able to fight with us, because I think that he likes it a lot when he have some opponents at his pace, more or less. And the last few weeks, it was very great to be able to fight with him, and he's an incredible fighter, and he always finds some place to overtake you never think in the world could happen. It's incredible, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to close the gap, because between me and Audrius there is still Togo, which is super fast always, even if he has like a tenth of the practice that I have. So I'm just glad to be here and to be close to these guys, and fight and races in general in this series are always awesome.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck in 7 days' time, but what a great win for Nicola Cocchi, who was able to get it done. Howie has jumped down through the paddock, and he has found Hasun no Kote, the Emperor of the Lotus, Togo Hisada.
Oh, Togo, you didn't start at the front. You made it there quickly, and there was a real chance all the way to the end. First, talk through that final lap for us.
Yeah, just I'm losing. I lose it. And Nicola is very fast through the entire race. I think he took the pole position, and of course he's faster than me. And I have some luck to get the first position somehow in the very first half of the race. But I know that my pace isn't great, isn't the fastest. So just try to focus on my driving, not making any mistakes, but just simply the pace. He's faster than me, so really difficult to defend him on the very last lap.
Pressure you were under for the entire race, of course. It's very, very hard to get past, and your car was pretty much in the right place at almost every opportunity throughout the race. How is it just being chased down quite that hard?
Yeah, just simply, not very good feelings. He's all over the place. Look in the mirror, his mirror doesn't work because he's right back to me. And I force it to do a qualifying lap every single lap.
Well, Road America is an all-time classic, and I'm a very, very big fan of it. I'm sure it's one that many have practice on. Are you hoping to get out a win that time?
Thank you very much. And Road America is kind of draft pack racing out there always, so a little bit even different types of racing than this week's. And maybe some of the very fast guys here. Of course, Mick is very fast every time, and Seb is fast. I'm not good at the track actually, but but I have high motivation right now, so just prepare for the next week and see what happens.
Every race for you on the track ends up a thrill in some way. We'll look forward to seeing more of it as the season wraps up.
Concentrate to my finish. Not thinking too much about the point standing right now, because the outreach is very fast and I'm not fastest on the whole field. These days. So hoping for a good finish, and the seat happens on the very end of the season.
Well, there you have it. Togo Hisada there joining us and saying that he's probably the most humble and I would say a driver who undersells what his talent is, because that is not luck getting by two drivers in one corner. That is pure skill, and I won't hear it any other way. But that will bring the curtains over to a close here from Phillip Island. As we did talk about, 7 days from today, we'll be heading over to Road America. You can catch that on the 15th of November, when the final third of the season will bring itself into position. It's a wonderful circuit, and it is one where every corner, like here at Phillip Island, is going to be scrutinised with a fine-tooth comb. Catch us at 1:30 UTC or 8:30 AM Eastern to make sure you are jumping in with that with GSRC as part of a Genesis Extreme production. There is also more sim racing over the course of this weekend. So IMSA Vintage will be heading to the Spiderweb at Barber later today. You can catch that in 2.5 hours. Classic Lotus Grand Prix tomorrow will be jumping over to the Circuito de Jerez. and then MX5 United back at Rudskogen then on Tuesday, and then the Skip Barber Race Series on Thursday will head to Okayama in the brilliant Skip Barbers. So, with that in mind, from Christian Deploy, from Dougie Beard, from Howie Burrows, and myself, Jake Sperry, this is a wonderful championship that has just taken a very decisive twist. So Aldris Valentarius will look around. The gold standard suddenly needs to recapture a bit of form after contact like that today with Seb Tixier. It's a case of the two behind him in the championship dueling it out for the win. But Nicola Cocchi says grazie mille as he goes and gets it done on the final lap. He beats out Toga Hesada and says, I will lead the charge on the championship against Valentarius. We'll see you in 7 in terms of racing action when we head to Road America.